Good morning, everybody. My name is Jack Dangermond, and it's my great pleasure to welcome all of you from around the world to the, 2021 ESRI Users Conference. The purpose of this meeting is quite simple. It's to help you in your career, for us to share the technology that we're advancing, but also an opportunity for you to share the work that you're doing and give us feedback. It's about understanding and learning and inspiring each other to take on the great challenges that our world is facing today. This year, in addition to all of the activities that are underway, we're also going to be focusing on creating a more sustainable future for our planet. And part of the vision was inspired by a recent book that I read by Mario Palma, who is one of the founders of INEGI, which is the large statistical and science and mapping organizations in Mexico. He said the following in his book: lack of understanding of our reality is one of the greatest risks our society is facing. And I think all of us in the GIS community, all of us in the world community can understand this. He also later said in his book, our future depends upon creating and applying that understanding. And these were the beacons that started INEGI, but they're also, for me, they speak to me. These words speak to me because they really are a purposeful way of describing our work. Creating and applying understanding. Our world is a complex and highly interdependent ecosystem that's rapidly changing and evolving. The world we live in is actually not well known. It's fragile. It's rich in biodiversity, which is disappearing at an alarming rate. It's also increasingly dominated by human activities. Geologists are beginning to call this the Anthropocene epoch, that epoch where humans absolutely dominate the life and the history, the life, the future of our world. Today, our world is being challenged because us as humans are living recklessly and unsustainably. And this is threatening our future. Human-induced climate changes and overpopulation are resulting in interconnected patterns of change, steep declines in biodiversity, and many other factors. We read about them, scientists tell us about them almost every day. Clearly for me, personally for me, it speaks that we collectively, we as a general human population, but also we as GIS users, are collectively responsible for its future. And it could go many ways. The geographic approach is a way of thinking and problem solving that integrates geographic science and information into how we understand and manage our planet. And Mario Palma would clearly understand that. It's a holistic approach. It brings sciences together. It's integrated. It supports and is enriched by spatial understanding, and it is also collaborative. The idea is supporting multiple objective solution creating, inclusive and multidisciplinary in its nature. And the great hope, the great vision, is that this will impact virtually every sector of our society going forward. This approach integrates and supports powerful methodologies familiar to many of you here in the audience. Geoanalytics, creating insights and understanding. Geovisualization, a language like through maps and visualization for communicating the content of our world and the context of our world. Geodesign, designing sustainable and inclusive futures. Geocollaboration, engaging all the stakeholders, and geoaccounting, being able to account for all the factors. Setting up measures that are not just economic driven, but are driven in a mixed way, balanced way. And this geoscience and understanding can support our future. It can support our planning, our decision making, our engineering, our operations, how we manage our individual organizations, and how we manage the world. These are all critical. And I appreciate the good work that you are already doing. Clearly, GIS enables the geographic approach. The very tools that you use for measuring and visualizing and analyzing and making predictions, doing planning, making decision makings, all that work that you do is a kind of framework and a process for applying geographic knowledge, this integrative knowledge, widely. And as I already said, you're already doing this. You are applying the geographic approach and creating so many solutions for a sustainable future. You are protecting biodiversity. You are reducing the use of precious resources. You're optimizing logistics. You are managing sustainable agriculture and forests. Clearly, we need to scale up our collective efforts exponentially. GIS technology can help us. It's not the only thing, but it can help us. And it is advancing rapidly. It's integrating many new innovations, helping us reach this kind of scale. This will be essential. Things like cloud computing, advanced analytics, the integration of imagery and remote sensing, interactive mapping, 3D visualization. Remote sensing is just a piece of it, but it's a major and significant part. Opening up access to this through the multitude of apps. All of this will help us scale up our collective efforts. GIS is also increasingly becoming interconnected, creating what I like to refer to as geospatial infrastructure. We're connecting our systems, and this in turn is helping us collaborate. It's helping us share. It's transforming workflows and decision-making at many scales. Geospatial infrastructure actually is, and I'm seeing this live in different organizations like Louisville, for example, it's actually transforming organizations. It's creating a whole new kind of intelligent infrastructure, not just digital infrastructure, not just water infrastructure, sewer infrastructure, or road infrastructure. It's creating a new kind of infrastructure for organizing and making distributed data that we collect available. As a basis for this, it's shared geospatial services organized through portals for discovery and access by apps that now support all types of users. This is an exciting time because this infrastructure, and I'm watching it closely, and so are you, is expanding really quickly. It's supporting not only local applications, shared information and so on, but also global applications with millions of users and tens of millions of shared data sets and services that are being made available in this way. It's making billions of maps every day. And these billions of maps are reaching billions of people. They're changing how they think. It's creating a whole new kind of global information system. You've heard me before talk about a nervous system for our planet. My sense is this infrastructure is creating a nervous system for sustainability. I'd like to talk about some of the details of this nervous system. First, geospatial infrastructure is integrating all kinds of data. It can now integrate all types of tabular data and map data and imagery data. It can integrate real-time data and abstract them into these web maps and layers and scenes that we're finding so dramatically useful, so that apps of many types can use them. Geospatial infrastructure delivers powerful apps, not just for GIS users in desktops and so on, but these apps are going to scale with massive mobile deployments for collecting data and also disseminating data. And also the pervasiveness of web apps is just unbelievable. Literally trillions of maps being looked at around the world. And my big hope is that this will continue to expand as it has in the last couple of years, enveloping and bringing us together as a society. Some more details. This geospatial environment, these geospatial capabilities are becoming embedded in other large IT enterprise systems. Our colleagues in other companies like Microsoft and IBM and Salesforce and Amazon and on, Autodesk, are putting maps and geospatial information into their apps. And that is, in turn, changing how they do engineering and CRM. And well, you can just look at it. It's really integrating geospatial thinking and geographic thinking into the apps that non-GIS professionals use across the organizations. And complementing this is the enrichment that's happening as a result of advanced GIS analytics. This is allowing us to see new things, create new insights with predictive modeling or the ability to analyze spatial temporal information together, the ingestion of real-time information, and the simple tools to be able to interactively do visual spatial analytics. These are powerful. And then enriching it further is GeoAI, machine learning, and so on. And the ability now to store imagery in the cloud and perform advanced raster analytics. And finally, big data, the ability to integrate and pull on and create understanding from these massive data sets. I want to talk about a couple of these. Big data integration is going to open our eyes. It's going to let us see new things, relationships we never understood before. The ability to access these massive data collections from transactional systems and imagery and link them to the very same tools that you are using will create new forms of understanding. Imagery and remote sensing is one category of that big data, all the way from simple image-based maps for thematic underlays to oriented imagery, integration of motion imagery, dynamic image processing, point cloud visualization, and as I mentioned before, GeoAI and machine learning, which is allowing us to pull off the image feature information that enriches our GIS. All of this imagery data is increasingly being used in raster analytics and modeling. And increasingly that's being put into the cloud. We'll talk more about that together. Bringing all of these sources of data together and being able to integrate into your work these timely information sets. Many of you are implementing this concept of geospatial hubs and engaging with other communities. This trend and the technology associated with it first started with engaging citizens and cities. It's all about organizing initiatives and then organizing the teams and organizing their activities. But this is now, especially in the last year, expanded to organizing professional relationships between users of different types. This technology and the organizational strength of the people behind it is fostering many new types of geo-collaboration. And I love that concept because it's essential to make the concepts of geospatial infrastructure work. I'll summarize what I've been talking about. Our world is being challenged on many fronts, and we will increasingly need to be responsible for its future. Part of this presentation is about getting us even conscious about it among ourselves. The geographic approach and geospatial infrastructure, this rapidly expanding new pattern, is going to provide us with the science and also the practical means, the essential means to be able to make this work. But they're not going to be enough. You and your work are going to be essential, providing leadership in your own organization, carrying out problem solving, the kind of things you already do, but thinking larger, thinking holistically. My place in my organization, my organization's place in the world, promoting our best tools and methods and thinking, being able to communicate clearly and effectively, and most of all, collaborating with other kinds of organizations, exchanging ideas, which I really wish we could be doing here together physically. This informal communication is so very important. Also, for me personally, I feel like I'm all in. I'm going all in. And I really want to encourage you to go all in. Act with urgency. These are the times where we really have to get it together and move at many different scales. I'd next like to move on in my presentation to talk about our work, the work that we do to support your work. And that's exactly how we see it. ArcGIS is our essential technology that we continue to evolve. And I'll go deep into what we're doing and have been doing in the last year in that environment. The vision of ArcGIS is to create a complete, comprehensive geospatial platform that supports multiple communities. The GIS community, of course, but also the mapping and location analytics communities, and also support geo-enabled systems, which are specialized technologies for specialized workflows. We do this in an open and developer-friendly environment with SaaS and software, and most recently, platform as a service. I'll talk more about that in just a moment. ArcGIS supports 3 fundamental types of systems, but they're all integrated into one technology. Systems of record for transactional data management, systems of analytics for creating insights into how geography is interconnected and works, systems of engagement through apps and maps that connect populations to the organization's work, communicate, and so on. ArcGIS is an integrated system. It brings many components together and works actually and has been engineered to work as a single system, supporting many kinds of applications and people. It, as a technology, is what is enabling and fueling this geospatial infrastructure pattern. ArcGIS users are increasingly leveraging the cloud. They're extending their system and strengthening their capabilities by deploying in clouds, like the ArcGIS Enterprise, but also leveraging SaaS resources from the cloud, like content or analytics in the cloud, or I'll be talking about a number of these things in a few minutes. Our pattern here is ArcGIS Online. The ArcGIS platform is open and it's interoperable. We support and leverage multiple initiatives to make this happen, supporting, of course, all the good work done by the standards organizations, OGC and others. We also have architected the system to be an open architecture with open APIs and open data so that it can help our users integrate their systems into a broader frame of other IT systems. We have been working during the last year on enhancing capabilities. They're advancing. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to be sharing a bit about each of these different activities that we're working on. Let me go on to desktop mapping and cartography. Here, we've been making improved tools and improvements to our tools to support advanced workflows in the desktop environment of ArcGIS Pro. We've added new things. We've certainly achieved parity with the ArcMap technology of the previous era, but also we have advanced new things, introduced new kinds of cartographic tools for advancing cartographic science. In the field of interactive web mapping, we have also made a lot of new improvements. The first word that I chose here is fast, because the performance of being able to do interactive mapping has, again, dramatically increased. And that's enabled things like data-driven exploration of maps. Look at the upper left. See, I'm moving back and forth this little chart, and we're seeing all of the counties in the United States visualized dynamically as we explore the information. That's a new pattern for maps. It's the idea that mapping is an interactive environment. Some of the improvements are that we introduced a new map viewer for both ArcGIS Online and the enterprise technology. And you can look through the list, you can find your favorite things. Mine happens to be sketching, the ability to sketch on top of a web map and then share it with my colleagues. Instant apps are a brand new thing that were introduced this year. They allow us to quickly transform any web map, 2D or 3D map, into an app. And we support about a dozen of these apps. You can just take your map, associate it with this app, and boom, you've got an app to go. And there's many more coming. For some of you, you'll remember the word configurable apps. This is kind of the next gigantic step forward of configurable apps. You can build these independently, but you can also create them right inside of the map viewer. For many of you, dashboards are almost an essential element now. I see them in almost every agency that I go to because they provide dynamic, real-time visualization about any subject. Well, for every subject, dashboards have meaning and have been embraced by our users to be able to provide at-a-glance information. We continue working, and what's coming is a new table visualization. and the ability to have dashboards natively implemented on your mobile device. That means that people can look at their little favorite dashboards anywhere, anytime, and on any device. Story maps are, again, one of these enormously popular applications. They're opening up geographic storytelling for all of us. Everybody has a story, and they're telling it like crazy with story maps. Millions of these have been published, thousands of new ones introduced every day. My good friend Jim Fallows calls this geojournalism, the ability to author a story and make it available dramatically, dynamically, digitally, covering a lot of populations. The innovations here have been better, simple drawing tools and the ability to collect multiple story maps together into collections, so I can publish like a story book for a particular community. These are getting easier, and the story map role last year opened up story map telling in a very affordable way to entire enterprises, and we're going to continue on that journey of making this more available and easier to use by everyone. Embedded mapping is an idea that I talked about earlier, the idea of embedding our mapping and our tools inside of other organizations' apps. And this is about embedding our maps into other products, like all the Microsoft 365 products or the Autodesk tools for engineers, or into the Adobe products, or into Salesforce and Amazon and SaaS and IBM and others. My sense is that this is going to be continuing to expand your reach, the reach of GIS, bringing easy map making inside of other technologies. Well, I think that has the potential of really making transformational impacts. Our work in interactive visual analytics is largely organized in a product we call ArcGIS Insights. And this is a very easy to learn tool that works in both web and desktop environments. It allows people to access lots of different data around their organization and engineer access, and then explore the data visually, spatially, and then do analytics and interactive reporting on that data set. Very popular set of tools that are rapidly expanding. Speaking about spatial analytics, for many of you, it's the heart and soul of what you do. It's all about solving problems and advancing science in multiple ways. This year, we've introduced 90 new tools and algorithms. They're shown partly in this visual display. New tools for AI and machine learning and big data analytics, scripting, data engineering, and so on. I'm particularly fond of the AI and machine learning and deep learning activities that are going on. At Esri, we're beginning to call this GeoAI. And we have very consciously engineered these capabilities directly inside of all of the different parts of the system, into Pro, into Enterprise, into Online. So you can accomplish multiple things within the technologies that you know and work with every day. But we've also integrated this platform technology with open science ecosystem of dozens of other technologies that are also traveling along in the world of GeoAI. These tools are being used rapidly by our users to automate what they're doing and also just approach their problem solving smarter. Look at the examples in the upper right. I'll just call out one because I love it, which is the ability to do feature extraction off of imagery, creating actual feature layers and change layers automatically. Now, imagery and remote sensing, as I mentioned earlier, is becoming very important in the GIS community. And we have implemented a complete library of technology, in fact, a complete system, an integrated system for doing these four major activities: the management of imagery and its dissemination, the ability to make maps automatically, the ability to visualize and explore information, and also the ability to do analytics. And these little blue lists are just a few of the hundreds of capabilities that actually exist for doing it. But that's some of the work that we've done in the last year. Of this list, my favorite is the idea that we can actually load our imagery up into ArcGIS Online now and host it in a SaaS environment. Now, I'd like to talk about this in a little more detail. Image hosting and analysis in the cloud. This means as an extension to ArcGIS Online, I can actually upload my own imagery into ArcGIS Online. I can do raster analytics in ArcGIS Online or image processing in ArcGIS Online. And I can serve it out as image services, visualization services, integratable directly into the other work that I'm doing. Drone mapping is another dimension of what we are doing with imagery. We support two fundamental technologies, site scan, which is cloud processing, and drone to map, which is desktop technology for planning and managing and collecting imagery and then processing it. This is what we are beginning to call reality capture. It is a mission that results in things like point clouds or DSMs or multispectral thermal emissions, lots of data sets that are directly usable by our users. For some users, they wish to do this at scale. So we introduced late last year a new technology called SURE for ArcGIS. This is about reality capture in an automated, like a factory, the capturing of this data, the processing of this data, and the ability to create 3D data products and maps. This is very, very attractive to large mapping agencies or to aerial survey companies who wish to automate and transform how they do digital photogrammetry. I'd like to show you how this works. You can see the textured meshes on the right in the city of Boston. It can now be integrated and enrich 3D systems of record, like the 3D buildings that's shown on the left. Many of you have these 3D systems of record that you're updating feature by feature. But by being able to integrate the two together, I can create really a marvelous 3D visualization experience. This is an example in Frankfurt, Germany, where an aerial photography mission was processed simply in a few hours to create this beautiful pictorial description of the city. And I can interact with this, of course. It's a beautiful visualization. But what you don't know is behind those, let's call them 3D pictures, are the actual 3D features. So I can interact with the features. I can color them. I can color the mesh. Like in this case with zoning. Well, the little video here speaks for itself. You get the idea. I see a new generation of 3D GIS as a result of these meshes being captured and being able to be integrated into our 3D systems. Our work in 3D visualization and analysis is fundamentally advancing GIS. It's not just about meshes, but also we've been working on the integration of game engine technologies to support immersive experiences. We continue working on tools for doing 3D web editing, both of meshes, but also of individual features. We've done extensive work in the integration of BIM models. And we're also working actively on the ability to integrate these 3D BIM models right into our feature databases as a long transaction, and lots of other things, like being able to interactively do view sheds or cross sections or elevation profiles of various types. I'd like to share with you particularly the next chapter in our GIS and BIM integration. We're doing this closely with Autodesk Corporation, linking our systems with their systems and workflows. Now, ArcGIS GeoBIM, a new product which will come out in the fall, is able to dynamically link ArcGIS features to documents within the Autodesk Construction Cloud and BIM 360 environment. That means I can point at a feature in a 2D or 3D scene and automatically bring up next to it, dynamically bring up the document. We have engineered this in such a way that this dynamic relationship can be the platform for creating a whole new class of apps. This will enable new kinds of collaboration, bringing the engineering and construction community closer with the GIS community and vice versa. Our 3D capabilities in ArcGIS are integrated across the entire ArcGIS system, and they enrich all types of experiences in the desktop, in the mobile environment, and also on the web. These experiences are part of a larger system, a complete 3D GIS system of record. a kind of living digital twin. Another dimension of our work is integrating real-time visualization and analytics into a GIS. This is about integrating sensors, the IoT, directly into the GIS, and we have two solutions to do that. The one is the GeoEvent server, which is an extension to the actual enterprise software. The other one is a new capability called Velocity, which allows these kinds of functions to occur inside of the ArcGIS online cloud. This is all about ingesting dynamic applications of all types. For many of you, data management and editing is the center focus of your work. And here, our activities include continuing our support for all the leading data management technologies in the cloud and on premises, but also reaching forward into the future. We're integrating ArcGIS with these cloud data warehouses to enrich and do big data kinds of operations. We're continuing our support to advance industry data models, services-based models like parcels and utility networks and so on. And we've also made improvements in the geodatabase in performance and a variety of other things. Finally, we continue to work on improving our editing tools, new QA/QC tools, new integration of 3D features and meshes that I talked about earlier. And moreover, just this steady march of improving performance and scalability and usability all around. In the field, ArcGIS supports a series of field apps for both operations and data collection. The biggest innovation that we introduced last year was the ArcGIS Field Maps app. This actually brought together many individual apps' capabilities for collecting data, updating data in the field, tracking where you are, and being able to access services-based visualization tools. It also introduced the ability to do markups on top of maps and share them. ArcGIS supports a series of specialized data collection tools like Survey 123 and Quick Data Capture. And also, it locationally enables other aspects of field work like with Tracker and Navigator and Workforce. All of these come together around the system to be able to provide operational awareness for people in the office who are tracking their people in the field. App builders are making it easy for our users to build their own apps. This is an environment where there's no code or low code app development. You simply take widgets and build web apps with the web app builder, which has resulted in millions of apps being built, and also the experience builder, which is the next generation of the web app builder, which is more optimized for mobile environments and also has better mapping. For those users who wish to build native mobile apps, we also have a technology known as the App Studio that allows you to build fantastic iOS or Android or Windows environments. And all of these app builders are available to all of our users. The result has been kind of an explosion of custom apps all over the world. ArcGIS supports strong developer capabilities. These are APIs and SDKs for automating and extending ArcGIS on one hand, but also creating whole new apps. Things like the Python API are useful for being able to build scripts and notebooks for automating work. Tools like the Pro add-ins with the Pro SDK and Enterprise SDK allows us to extend basically functionality. In the area of creating apps, our runtime SDKs allow users to create device-specific apps, or perhaps our most popular API is the JavaScript API. And this has resulted in millions of web apps. Earlier this year, we introduced a new library of tools, open source APIs like OpenLayers, Leaflet, and more. I'd like to take just a moment about the JavaScript mapping API, which is really continuing to advance at a very fast rate. Faster performance, data-driven visualization, new tools and widgets and workflows, more 3D capabilities, and especially client-side analytics that you saw in a few examples I shared a few moments ago. ArcGIS Platform is a brand new technology we released earlier this year. This is about developer-focused mapping and location services, and it's still delivered as PaaS. It's delivered in a consumption-based business model, which supports non-GIS developers and also the embedding of location services capabilities from the cloud into enterprise systems. I'd like to now shift gears for a moment and talk about the fundamental ArcGIS products. These are the vessels within which all this capability gets realized. As most of you know, ArcGIS is an integrated series of components: servers, desktops, apps, solutions, and so on. And I'm going to go through them systematically. Let's start with ArcGIS Pro. ArcGIS Pro is all about advanced mapping, visualization, editing, and analytics. And we've again introduced a whole new series of capabilities. But we also listened to your requests and feedback from last year, which said, focus on performance, focus on quality, focus on usability. And we did that, but we also continued our march to add new capabilities, things like floor awareness or big data collections. ArcGIS Pro has many extensions. These extensions extend the fundamental capability with rich analytics and tools for data management and tools for production, mapping, and charting. The second big technology of the family is the ArcGIS Enterprise. And this is about GIS infrastructure for your organization. It's all the tools for data management and mapping and analytics and collaboration of multiple types. This enterprise technology runs in public and private clouds, of course, and also for on-prem deployments. Lots of new things actually occurred here in the last year, some dramatically large advances, but I'll just hit on a couple. You've been asking for better distributed collaboration, like two-way synchronizations between different systems, updating a map in one system and having it send a little updatogram over to another one and automatically update, and many others. What's coming next is our support for enterprise in the cloud, and also the integration of our technology to these big data warehouses that I mentioned earlier in my talk. But I'd like to focus especially on a huge advancement which happened with this latest release, which is Kubernetes support. ArcGIS on Kubernetes is the implementation of ArcGIS in a cloud-native architecture. And for some of you, you'll be enormously interested in this when I tell you about it. Others will continue using Linux or Windows for the implementation. But cloud-native architecture means that we take a piece of software like Enterprise and we divide it up into a series of microservices. These are the little things that the software does. And you can deploy these on different computers within the overall cloud environment. This means I can really scale out the technology to deal with very large number of users or very high amounts of computation. This is not for everyone, but it is for organizations who are using Kubernetes and want to take advantage of this scalability. It's supported on AWS and on Azure, and also for users that use the IBM Red Hat OpenShift environment. The third capability or part of the ArcGIS system is the ArcGIS Online environment. And this is a massive global system for mapping and analytics, all in a SaaS environment. There are actually over 10 million users now that subscribe to this, and they're making millions and millions of data sets available for use by others. Trillions of maps actually get made out of this environment. And we're continuing to work hard on many fronts. I've already covered a lot of the new and improved capabilities in this system, like the new map viewer and charting and a bunch of others. The ArcGIS Online environment has a number of extensions. One of my favorites I've already talked about is ArcGIS Hub. This is about supporting engagements with other citizens or with other organizations. Organization collaboration is supported with these tools. And I'll just underline this point that it's about organizing things. It's about organizing initiatives in an organization for collaboration or whatever. It's about organizing people, and it's also about organizing activities. ArcGIS solutions are a different kind of product. They lay on top of the other products. They're industry-specific maps and apps that are pre-configured. You simply download them and implement them into your systems, and you're ready to go for a whole new series of applications. They're extensive. They're transforming local governments quickly. We used this kind of pattern for the COVID response, where people were setting up dashboards very quickly. But in emergency response and utilities and so on, they're very easy now to deploy, and they're also completely supported just like our other software products. And the best part for many of you will be that they are free. They're freely disseminated, and they're helping organizations really realize huge value right away. Next, I'd like to take a few minutes and describe Esri's geo-enabled systems. These are about supporting with individual products focused workflows for indoors, for urban planning, for landscape planning, for business analysis, and most recently, emergency management and response. I'll start with indoors. This is a GIS for space and building management. It visualizes and analyzes all aspects of a building. It includes tools for being able to do data management about a building, and then organize and manage spaces, operations, and it even includes a series of apps for navigating inside of a building with indoor positioning technology. This is changing the way people see buildings. They're able to manage it more efficiently and more effectively. ArcGIS Urban is a 3D scenario planning system for both cities and regions. It's about geodesign in cities, where you bring the data together, you do analytics like suitability analysis, and then interactively do scenario planning and quickly evaluate these alternative scenarios. This is exactly intuitively what you would imagine a city planner should do. Quickly, interactively, and with stakeholder engagement, evaluate technically different alternatives to create a better future. We've been doing lots of new enhancements here. You can glance through this list. My favorite one is to be able to sketch buildings easily into the environment of urban so that I can quickly evaluate them. Similar to urban, the ArcGIS GeoPlanner is about geodesign for landscapes, and it follows a very similar pattern. You bring the data together, you do scenario planning, visualize and analyze the impacts of different landscape plans. Here I'm talking about like designing green infrastructure, or being able to achieve the great goals of 30 by 30, saving 30% of the open space by year 2030. ArcGIS Business Analyst is location-based market analysis and analytics. It comes with a huge library of geographic information, and then has many tools for doing things like site suitability analysis, being able to do market research and infographics about geography. It's a huge benefit for businesses like Starbucks and Nike and Walgreens and hundreds of others like it. But it's also increasingly being used by government to be able to do economic evaluation and attract businesses to a community. ArcGIS Mission is a command and control system for tactical operations. What that means is like a fire or a search and rescue effort or a disaster response. It likewise brings the data together in a server environment and allows users to plan and execute and then see firsthand situation awareness of what's going on in the field. It consists of a series of applications both for managers of an operation, but also the first responders out in the field who are messaging back with peer-to-peer communication among themselves and with the headquarters office. Very fun technology. Well, some of you are asking what's next for Esri technology. As some of you know, we have several thousand people in our R&D and development activities, and they are all very active in these sorts of topics. And they're so anxious not only to support you and please you, but also to hear your feedback about how we're doing in these areas. It helps them a lot, so please speak out and get engaged with them. We continue our incremental releases. This year, we're naming them the ArcGIS 2021 release with a series of dot releases for Pro and Enterprise, and we'll follow that nomenclature going into the future. We're definitely continuously improving our SaaS offerings and actually improving quality and performance in addition to these basic fundamental research efforts. I'd like to close with a couple of comments about the fact that we do more than software. We're all about helping you develop your own skills, and we do that in a variety of ways. Of course, in real time, providing technical support with hundreds of people around the world that answer your questions and help you do your work better. But also through a large library of books, which we call the ESRI Press, with over 150 publications and more coming, with podcasts, with ESRI Press, with young professional networks, with well, a variety of resources. I'll just call your attention to the GIS Day coming up in November. It's an opportunity for all of you to participate in sharing your work. We also work on a progressive learning program. This is about building comprehensive skills for you. And we have hundreds of free courses that are available, large MOOCs, a new generation of learning methods called Learn ArcGIS. These are largely free. But we also have structured classes for web instruction, instructor-led courses, and an entire learning plan that I know thousands of you have registered into and stay current with our tools. ESRI is all about serving you, and I say that very sincerely. We're advancing GIS and also the science that underpins GIS. We're very committed to strong engineering tools and embrace closely the whole science focus of our engineering efforts. We have an amazing team in this regard. ESRI, I'd like to report back to you, is strong and healthy, and it continues to grow. One of our big missions is about promoting geography, if you haven't figured it out, geographic thinking, the geographic approach, and doing so at a global scale. And we like to do this collaboratively with you because I know it supports your work, and it also supports the greater mission of creating a more sustainable world. ESRI includes a small team of people who help respond to disasters. This means supporting our users in times of need. And we did a lot of this, of course, in COVID, but in hurricanes and fires, we collaborate with a number of other organizations, including our business partners and volunteer groups like GIS Core and Map Action, to bring resources together effectively to respond to efforts that are affecting our planet. We're also very interested in building the next generation of people, not only GIS professionals, through our programs with higher education, supporting almost 11,000 colleges and universities around the world. We also are looking even further out, building a geographically literate next generation of children. Over 350,000 children have been exposed, played with our tools through ArcGIS Online all around the world. We're partnered closely with the National Geographic Society in carrying this out, helping students everywhere acquire geospatial literacy and develop these kinds of skills that you as a community possess. I invite all of you to become a geo-mentor, adopt a teacher, adopt a school, get involved in this. It's very rich and very rewarding, I promise you. I'd like to close with a couple of final comments. I've shared my sense that our world is a single changing ecosystem. It's increasingly threatened by us, our human activities. We are clearly living beyond our means. To create a more sustainable world, we're going to have to take responsibility for its future, applying our best science, our best technology, and our best creativity. Your work is already demonstrating the power of what GIS and the geographic approach have to offer. You are creating integrated systems that work and support sustainable human activities everywhere around the globe. These are tremendous footprints, actually. Geospatial infrastructure is making our GIS more accessible and scalable. My big vision is that this will expand to reach every organization on the planet, becoming involved, creating a global information system for sustainability, a kind of nervous system for our planet. However, this sustainability challenge requires far more than technology. GIS professionals, and here I'd like to speak personally with you, are going to be essential. You need to provide the leadership, working together, doing all the necessary work, like chopping wood and hauling water. You know what I'm talking about. To apply this geographic approach at scale, this is what will be needed. Integrating geographic science and holistic thinking into virtually everything that humans do going forward, creating a sustainable future. Last night, I wrote a few personal messages just for you. First, you're working in the coolest profession, and history will record how very meaningful your work is and has been to changing sustainability on the planet. And I know what you do. I know it's important, and I also see firsthand the power of this work. It's taking everything and put it in context, visioning, seeing the future. I also want to say that I want to encourage you to share your work. I mean, it's very powerful when you do that. Other people learn from you. And this is the only way we're going to get to scale, actually. Share and communicate your work successfully to others, not only within our profession, but also beyond. People are interested. They trust you. They want to collaborate with you. And I'd also say, just personally, build strong professional collaborations. I'm sorry that we're not all together at this conference, because that's the place where we often find a new friend, where we begin this sharing and support network. And I want you, above all, to remember that your work does matter enormously. Also, just a few practical things. Build great maps that tell stories, tell the important stories, because they open the eyes for others to really understand how just very important your work is. So finally, move rapidly. I mean, I love this field. I know you do as well. Move rapidly and urgently, because our world really needs it, because we need to create sustainable solutions, because time is running short. It's late in the day, but it's not dark yet. Okay, so I want to encourage all of you to own this and go with it. Thank you very much.